ponchos. I'm going to do a poncho shelter between this tree and the ground, and very simple shelter. It's not a shelter of comfort, it's a shelter to get out of the rain. So I'm going to open this up. Spread that there. And one of my important pieces of kit is some cordage. So I connect one end up to the tree about here. Pull it through. Roughly look at the size that I need. Through to about there. Now, I'll put that in. Hopefully this ground's soft enough to push this in. Just using a few simple knots. This is called an adjustable knot. Like that. Slide that up a bit. This one down here. Out further. Another loop through there. So if you've got a longer cord, just a thumb knot on the bite, which is just, actually want a small loop like that. I'm looping that through there like that. Cat's pouring it over. And that's just going into the ground. I can do another loop there. Keep that short there. Do the same on the other side. And I've got an emergency shelter, sort of had some extra cord, tie up the poncho, I don't have any bedding, but if I need to insulate myself against conduction to the cold ground, I would put a bedding. Obviously we don't have time to do that now, but I would want to get myself off that cold ground. But I can be in here and get out of the cold, but I would want to get myself off the cold ground, but that would take time to make a pine needle bed. I'd want to get this so I can get off. But my aim now is to get a fire in this area, only a very small fire, just to put some heat back into here. There you go, a bit of rigidity. That's going to help with watershed, to get me off the ground, to sort of help with watershed, give that some rigidity against the wind. So that's actually quite a comfortable shelter, very quick and easy to make. So the next step is to make a fire, and then we'll get some water. So it's only going to be a small fire, but number one is I need to dig down to bare earth, because what I don't now, we're only going to have a very small fire for a second, so it's not going to be a large one, so we'll be putting it out very soon. So I'm just going to clear this area, but I need to burn down because I don't want to get any roots. If I was here for a long time, I would set up my shelter in a different area. I wouldn't have it close to tree roots. Very important not to have roots, particularly with pines, but to dig down to bare earth, and that's the same in Australia as well. Because we're only going to be here just to making a fire to boil some water, I don't need to worry about that too much. But any short term, and because the ground is very, very wet. So I'm going to clear this area first. Of any tree roots. So I don't want any roots at all, because they can burn underground. So I'm going to clear, so note that I've gone to bare earth here. My fire is only going to be this big, but I'm going to clear around it as well, and we're going to disguise this area when we finish, and we'll clean it up back to its original state before we go. Okay, we're going to have the fire in that area there. Right, so now I need a base, a platform, a dry wood. The fact that that's dead and making a nice cracking sound is good. Just getting rid of the wet bark off the outside. I see some birch bark here. So I think is Betula pendula. So it has betulin in it. We don't have this in Australia. In Australia we have paper bark, which is probably the equivalent to birch bark. Is probably, knowing Sweden, drinkable straight off the bat, but in Australia that's not necessarily the case, because there could be any number of organic parasites, protozoa in here. Don't know, but we want a warm cup of tea anyway, so we're going to boil it. So I'm going to fill my water bottle up. So another reason to have a container. That's why one of the containers is one of the most important items. used this before, so I'm looking forward to see if that will go. Bit damp, that one, so that's probably not going to go as well because it's damp, so I'll put that in there for later on. This might go just a little bit, enough to light some of this birch bark. We'll see. If not, I'll have to go to a second method to light the birch bark. Some of that over there. I'm going to use the pull method. It's the Morakniv, so I'm going to be pulling up like this. Okay. Want those sparks to go into the centre there. Put the knife away. My first line kindling over the top. When the flames come through the top, I add my next layer. And of course the flames, smoke's going in my face, as it always does. Doesn't matter where you stand, that's always the case. Next layer goes on. When the flames come through the top, I add my next layer, which in this case is all this small stuff. Then I'm going to go around in teepee fashion, which will help dry this other stuff out. They're a little bit damp, some of these other ones. Here's my displacement stick. Some water. And that's going to sit on top like that. Now I can go and get some more kindling if I need. I'll put that in my pocket for later on in case I need more fire, but I've got tinder and all sorts of things here. Can adjust that. And if I was staying here tonight, I would make sure I get myself off the ground and build a bed so it's dry, and I'd use a base of some wood that's around here, a lot of these pine needles, and I'd build it up about this size, so I would not want to sleep on the cold damp ground because I'll be losing heat loss through conduction to the cold ground, so I need to get myself off the ground. But other than that, I've now got a shelter, I have fire, and I'm boiling some water for a cup of tea. and I can wait out the elements in a shelter like this. Once off the ground, I can be quite confident I'm getting that radiant heat coming in. Of course, I could make that fire. I don't need a fire any bigger than that, but I've got all my needs dealt. It's just a matter of getting off the ground. I've got all my needs met. I've got a shelter, I've got fire, and I've got water on the go. Normally, I wouldn't leave it with unburnt pieces of wood like that. You'd let it burn down to ash. So you'd time your fire if I have to put that out with water, it means I haven't timed my fire, for example. So, but say if you're easy your fire like that, so what I need to do, because there's a stream nearby, I will put that out. So it's important to So it's always good etiquette to make sure the fire is burnt to ashes, because I'm leaving unburnt pieces here. I'm doing this with my mouth because I can distribute the water a lot better. Now, if you're low in water in Australia, you wouldn't do this, because water's precious, you need it here, and that's why you'd burn down to ash. In bushcraft, this would be considered poor bushcraft etiquette, because you never leave unburnt pieces of wood. Always let things burn down to ash. But because we don't have time, I'll show you how. So if I can hold it with my hands, that means it's safe. So I check with my hands. So that's good. So I can take those into the bush and throw them around. Same thing, I make sure that it's cool to the touch. If it's cool to the touch, I know it's safe. So I'll just scatter that about. This would be better if it was ash.
lastly, I push my fingers into the ground to make sure, if this was a fire for a lot longer, going for a lot longer, this ground would still be hot down to this, at least that level. But because this is only a very quick fire, that's not the case. But with that, I can always put some extra water into the ground there. That stream was nearby, so I would use that. That's nice, that whole area is nice and cool to the touch. So I'll leave that just for a little bit longer, then I'm going to clear that area. I'm going to take down the shelter, let that cool some more, and we're going to leave the place, leave no traces if we'd never been here. So that's now cool to the touch. That's fine. So now I can redistribute all of this stuff. Sprinkle them around as nature would have it fall, and nature will take care of the rest, and then we can leave the area as we found it. Well, it's close enough to it.